Hello, my toxic relationship survivors, warriors. Welcome back. Last video, you should have watched 3 practical ways to enhance your physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. Why? Because when you're in these types of toxic relationships, abusive relationships, it will impact your physical health. It will impact your mental health and your spiritual well-being, which is going to cause a lot of inflammation. So making sure you're keeping that as a focus is going to be really key in your success in healing, in moving forward, right? Today I want to talk about personality disorders, how to identify them, who can truly diagnose them, so you can recognize these traits and build awareness around this to avoid it in the future. If you're new to my channel, welcome. So glad that you're here. I'm Kristen Constantino. I'm a certified transformational mental and nutritional wellness coach, and I specialize in toxic relationship repair. So that's the type of content that you can expect on this channel. But as I mentioned, I really love to talk about fitness. It's my first love, and it's also a way to help you rise back up to the top. The way personality disorders are diagnosed is only through a professional. So I want you to keep that in mind when you hear that buzzword narcissism flying around the internet. It doesn't mean that person's a full-blown narcissist. A lot of times there is some sort of spectrum, and that is assessed through something called the DSM-5. And if you look into this and do some more research on it, you'll notice there's different clusters that certain personality disorders could be categorized in. I also think it's really important to understand what causes these personality disorders. Just like any mental health issue, it's a combination of nature and nurture, genetics, or your environment. So there's 5 factors that go into this. Number 1 is your genetics. Yes. I also want you to look up the term epigenetics, above genetics. And I want you to look up this term not for your past relationships or the other person behind you, or when you're pointing, there's how many fingers pointing back at you. I want you to look it up for yourself, because there's a lot of empowering aspects when it comes to epigenetics, not for anybody else. And I'm saying this as a former people pleaser and a former savior, right? You are only in control of one person, and that is yourself. So just always have that on your mind. Put a post-it that you can read every single day. Number 2 is neurotransmitter issue, and that could be because somebody is abusing substances, for instance. Number 3 is past unresolved trauma, whether it's dealing with your family or something else. Dysfunctional family and attachment issues that you might have from your environment. And then lastly, can be an authoritarian religion that someone's been brought up in, can really impact a person's personality. I want to highlight 2 personality disorders that I had a tendency to flock to, and they also sometimes get mixed up just a tad. One is narcissistic personality, at least maybe not full-blown disorder, but personality traits. And then the other one is called avoidant attachment. I will say people that might be more on the spectrum of narcissism might have more resistance to change than somebody that is on that avoidant attachment spectrum. So keep that in mind. Yet it's also really important to know the difference between the two, so you know what type of person that you're dealing with and ways to cope / making a decision if you want to even surround yourself with this person anymore. So let's compare the two and talk a little bit about what they would do in either situation. I'll talk about what a narcissistic person with narcissistic traits or on the spectrum would do, alongside what somebody that has avoidant attachment disorder. So someone who has narcissistic traits, you probably already realize this and know this, but they feel like they are the cream of the crop. They're the best, they're on the top of the hill, and nobody can beat them. They have almost like this delusional mind that they are the best, despite what their true results are in life. And then somebody with avoidant attachment disorder might seem confident on the outside when you first meet this person, but truly underneath, there's a lot of insecurities, there's a lot of issues with security. So when you tend to get a little bit closer and they feel engulfed, they push away. So people that have narcissistic traits may emulate the person that you want them to be, like having empathy, but in actuality, they don't even have the capacity to empathize for other people. Unless, however, and this could be a part of the love bombing phase and going back to the cycle of being in a trauma bond, they have some sort of reward or something that they need, like money or sex. But somebody with an avoidant attachment disorder absolutely has the capacity to empathize with other people. However, they just don't have the capacity to create the closeness and intimacy based on their own insecurities and not wanting to get too close. Let's say you're fighting and or you're trying to get into intimate conversations with either of these types of disorders or traits of these disorders. Somebody with narcissistic traits will intentionally want to get under your skin and have big explosive fights and intentionally use emotional manipulation in this situation. Meanwhile, somebody with avoidant attachment might struggle to even get into this intimate place to have a fight, and once they sense that, they immediately run away. So I hope those 3 examples in distinguishing the 2 personality disorders or traits of these personality disorders can help you recognize that when somebody like that comes into your life. So your red flag alerts are even more heightened going forward. Recap, what'd you learn? You learned how these personality disorders are diagnosed, what causes them, so you can understand kind of where this person comes from. And this is what I like to talk about with a lot of my clients. That also helps you in the forgiveness department, because that is really important in your healing process. And then lastly, distinguishing between the 2 personality disorders or traits of these disorders that I was confronted with often due to my codependencies of people pleasing and caretaking that I had to work through, of narcissistic and avoidant attachment. So if you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe. You get the little bell ringer when a new video is going to be released. And next video, you can expect to learn a little bit more about your own codependencies, how to work through them, how to heal from them, because reminder, you can only control you, nobody else. And what's happening within you will happen through you into your environment. So this type of work is crucial for your success in the future. Love you. Talk to you soon.